Most men wait too long to decide. Let's start with the truth you've been avoiding. If you're watching this, you're probably stuck in the worst place a man can be. In limbo, not fully in, not fully out, just floating, hoping, wondering if she'll come back, if it'll feel like it used to, if something will magically fix itself. But deep down, you already know that indecision is killing you. Most men don't lose the woman because they were too weak to fight. They lose her because they fought for the wrong things for too long and forgot to fight for themselves. Let me say that again. She doesn't lose interest overnight. She watches you change. She watches you shrink. She watches you tolerate disrespect, silence your instincts, say yes when you meant hell no. And worst of all, she watches you stay when you should have walked, because men aren't just judged by how they love, they're judged by what they're willing to walk away from. Here's what nobody tells you. Fighting for her when you've lost yourself doesn't look noble. It looks pathetic. It looks like desperation. And no woman, not even the kindest, can respect a man who needs her more than he needs his dignity. So, how do you know when to fight and when to let her go? You start by asking the only question that matters. Is the man I am today proud of who I've become in this relationship? If the answer is no, if you're softer, more anxious, more passive, more confused, less respected than you were before, then it's not her you need to fight for. It's you. And here's the brutal part. She feels it. She senses the hesitation in your touch. She hears the apology in your silence. She sees that you're operating from fear, not strength. And attraction does not survive fear. It dies in it. Men get stuck trying to fix a connection that's already broken because they're afraid of two things. 1, losing the woman. 2, facing the truth about themselves. So they hold on and hold on and hold on, not realizing that every second they stay confused, they become less of the man she, or any woman, could respect. Listen carefully. If she disrespects your boundaries and you say nothing, let her go. If she's emotionally checked out and you're doing all the chasing, let her go. If you can't speak your truth without her punishing you, let her go. If you're fighting just to be noticed, you're not in a relationship, you're in survival. But if she's lost trust because you slipped and you know it, if she's testing your strength to see if you'll step up, if there's still a pulse and you haven't bled out your pride trying to win her, then maybe, just maybe, it's time to fight, but not for her attention, not for her approval, not for what you miss. You fight to lead, to bring the relationship back under the command of masculine integrity, to become undeniable again, because a woman doesn't need a perfect man. She needs a man who knows when to draw the line and when to cross the battlefield. This first chapter is about clarity. If you're confused, you've already lost ground. Now, it's time to get it back. Fighting from strength, not fear. Let's be honest. Most men who fight for a woman aren't doing it from power. They're doing it from panic, from scarcity, from the belief that without her, their world collapses. But here's the brutal truth. If the reason you're fighting is because you're afraid to be alone, you've already lost. And she knows it. She may not say it, but she feels it in her bones, that you're no longer choosing her from strength. You're clinging to her out of weakness. You're hoping your loyalty will be enough, that your consistency will win her back. But loyalty without self-respect doesn't look noble. It looks needy, and no woman desires a man whose actions are dictated by fear. Let's talk about what real strength looks like. It doesn't look like chasing her when she pulls away. It looks like holding your ground and giving her space to respect your silence. It doesn't look like checking her phone, asking endless questions, begging for clarity. It looks like stating your boundaries once, clearly, and being willing to walk if they're violated. It doesn't look like solving her emotional chaos every day. It looks like being calm inside your own storm and letting her feel your steadiness. You don't fight for her with desperate texts or emotional breakdowns. You fight for her by becoming a man that cannot be ignored. Understand this. A woman doesn't want a man who needs her like air. She wants a man who breathes on his own and still chooses her. A man who, if necessary, would let her go with dignity intact. Most of you were never taught that kind of strength. You were taught to be there no matter what, to prove your love, to never give up. But that only works if she's still in the fight too. If she's completely checked out and you're the only one bleeding, that's not love. That's self-destruction. You are not obligated to fight for someone who doesn't see your value. You are not obligated to keep showing up while she's disappearing emotionally. You are not her savior. You are her mirror. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is nothing. To let the silence speak. to let the separation clarify what your presence made invisible, to show her that your love is not a cage, but it does have a gate, because the moment she knows you're afraid to lose her, you lose leverage, you lose polarity, you lose yourself. So here's the new standard: never fight to keep her, only fight to become a man she wouldn't dare forget. Let the weak man beg, let the boys panic. You build, you lead, you sharpen, because if she comes back, she better meet a man forged by pain, not broken by it. And if she doesn't, good. That means the wrong one made space for your rise. Letting her go without losing yourself. Letting her go isn't about giving up, it's about waking up. Because sometimes the fight you're in isn't saving the relationship, it's destroying you. Here's what most men never realize. Letting go doesn't always mean walking away from the woman. It means walking away from the version of yourself that tolerated too much, that waited too long, that handed over his power and called it love. You think letting go means failure, but the failure was already happening the moment you stopped leading, the moment you became reactive, the moment you waited for her to decide if you were worth it, instead of deciding for yourself what you're worth. Understand something brutal and beautiful. She is not the source of your value. She is the reflection of it. And if that reflection has grown cold, withdrawn, dismissive, it's because the man in the mirror has disappeared. When you let go, you do it on your feet, with your shoulders back, with your mind clear, with zero drama. You don't scream, you don't beg, you don't send one last text trying to explain how good your love is. You walk, silently, powerfully, like a man who knows he could have given the world, but refuses to give it to someone who treats it like trash. Letting go isn't weak. It's the final act of masculine self-possession. Because here's what happens the moment you stop trying to prove yourself. You become dangerous again, mysterious again, focused again. And everything she took for granted starts echoing in the silence you leave behind. Do you know what happens when you finally stop chasing her validation? You stop shrinking. You stop second-guessing. You stop being the emotional sponge for someone who never asked for your softness in the first place. Letting go is the hardest move a man can make, because it requires absolute faith in yourself. Faith that if she's not aligned, it's her loss. Faith that if she walks, it clears the runway for someone worthy of what you bring. Faith that your peace matters more than her potential. Most men confuse letting go with rejection. It's not. It's a reset, a recalibration, a reclaiming of the masculine spirit that's been asleep under years of nice guy instincts and fear of being alone. You don't let her go to get her back. You let her go to get you back. And if she comes back, it must be to meet a different man. One who leads with clarity, not confusion. One who speaks boundaries, not pleas. One who doesn't beg for love because he is the prize. So, when do you let go? You let go when staying means disrespecting yourself. You let go when trying means betraying your truth. You let go when the man you see in the mirror is no longer someone you respect. Because what you tolerate, you teach. And it's time the world, and every woman in it, learned the lesson. You are no longer available for anything less than alignment. What happens when you rise, with or without her? By now, the illusions should be shattered. You're not just a man wondering what to do about a girl. You're a man standing at the threshold of something far bigger, a return to yourself. Because here's what happens when you stop fighting out of fear and start leading from truth. You evolve, and evolution always comes with a cost. You might lose her, you might lose the comfort, you might lose the story you kept telling yourself about who you were together. But you gain something better: freedom, power, self-respect, clarity. She doesn't need another man who's willing to do anything to keep her. She needs a man who's already whole with or without her. That's who she craves. That's who she respects. And deep down, that's who she was testing for all along. You see, most women don't want to walk away, but they'll emotionally drift until you make them feel something real. Until you reintroduce wait period. Until your presence is no longer a quiet plea, but a gravitational force. And that force comes from one place: a man who knows who he is and doesn't apologize for it. You're not here to be chosen. You're here to choose yourself so powerfully that anyone who chooses you is simply aligning with what you've already claimed. This is the final test. Can you stand tall, even if she walks? Can you remain rooted, even when your heart breaks? Can you say no more, even when your mind screams, don't let her go? Because the man who can do that is unstoppable, untouchable, undeniable. You don't win her back by performing. You don't prove your worth by tolerating more. You win her respect, or anyone's, by being willing to walk alone rather than crawl together. And sometimes, that strength is what brings her back. Not because you begged, but because you became. So here's the loop, closed. If she's testing your backbone, stand tall. If she's watching to see if you'll break, don't. If she's drifting, let her drift. If she walks, bless her path and build yours. Because the man who can walk away clean is the man who never has to chase again. He's not bitter. He's not cold. He's just done betraying himself to be loved. And in the end, whether she comes back or not, doesn't matter. You came back. To your strength, to your truth, to your mission, to your edge. And that man, the man reborn in fire, not fear, will never be forgotten.